Hello my dudes and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be making a nice chicken korma, my favorite Indian dish. Actually I prefer it with lamb, but I got chicken on hand, so that's what we're going to do. And as a bonus, it's naturally gluten-free, so don't even have to make any substitutions. So without further ado, let's get started.
Alright, to get started we're just going to mince up some ginger and some garlic. And we're going to give this a really fine mince because we're actually going to turn this into a ginger garlic paste. So what you want to do is you want to just really get this fine. Then you're going to go ahead and take these two, mix them together real quick, give them a rough chop. And then we're just going to keep going back and forth and doing that, but not before we add some salt to this. You want to add the salt. This is going to help break it down and it's going to help turn this into a paste. I actually could have used a little bit more salt here. You also can take your knife and just kind of smash it down like this. But we're just going to keep on going with that a couple more times, making sure you wipe it off with the knife, push it down until you got a nice consistent paste, like so. See, kind of pasty, still kind of rough. Then we're going to go ahead and grab a bowl, and we're going to go ahead and toss that paste in there. This is where we're going to add our chicken. This is going to be our marinade. We're going to marinate this overnight. I'm using chicken thighs for this because, in my opinion, they're the tastiest cut of meat. You really can't go wrong with chicken thighs. Can't really overcook them either. I mean, you can, but it's pretty hard to do. I'm also going to go ahead and just trim these down as I'm doing it. Take off any excess fat and toss that in the bowl. We're going to go ahead and mix that together with our garlic and ginger paste that we made. We're going to go ahead and add ourselves some plain yogurt. That's right, not any flavor whatsoever. It's got to be plain. And then we're going to add some ground turmeric. It's going to add a lot of color. I'm going to go ahead and add some garam masala. And as always, the exact amounts are going to be down in the description below. Some Kashmiri chili pepper powder. It's going to add a lot of flavor. It's not too hot, don't worry. We're going to go ahead and add some sea salt to this. And then we're going to go ahead and toss this all to combine. This is going to be our marinade. You need to put this in the fridge for at least 2 hours, up to overnight. I did mine overnight. As you can see, it's going to turn this kind of orange color from that chili powder. And that turmeric, this is what you're looking for. Then we're just going to touch our chicken and put it in the fridge. Let it know that everything's going to be alright. Go ahead and cover that with some saran wrap. Any day now, you know. Just do this as slowly as possible before you put it in the fridge. And then we're going to go ahead and get our spices. This is coriander I'm grinding up right here. You can already buy this fresh ground. You don't have to grind it fresh like I did. I just didn't have any ground coriander lying around. And this is going to be our spice mix for later. So I'm going to go ahead and add 2 cloves to that. And 1 cardamon seed pod. Green, not black. Going to add my bay leaves in here, 2 of them. And once again, all the exact amounts and what part we're using are going to be down below. Some more of that Kashmiri powder. Then I'm going to add a cinnamon stick, splashing everything out, so I have to go back and add a little bit more later. But that's okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and just chop into some thin ribbons, some onion. Nice little ribbons is what we want. Like so. This is going to be about 2 onions, I think is what I used. That's because we're going to fry these up in the pan. That's where a lot of our flavor is going to come from. Now, some recipes call for it, some don't. Is 2 tomatoes. I'm using 2 Roma tomatoes. It's not traditional, but I think it adds a nice flavor to this dish. I would not use more than 2, otherwise you're kind of hitting butter chicken territory here. You can just cut these into quarters because these are going to go into a blender. And I'm using 1 red chili pepper. You should really be using a green one, but I only have red on hand, and this will do for my purposes. But if you want to stay authentic, use a green chili pepper. Just going to add that to our seasoning mix. Like so. Get rid of those tops. And then we're going to remember that we forgot the garam masala for the seasoning. And this is the stuff that's going to go in towards the end of our meal, when we're finishing up in this cook. I'm going to go ahead and add more of that Kashmiri powder back in there because I knocked a bunch of it out. And here is the secret ingredient. This is ghee. This is clarified butter. You can find this in most grocery stores. You can also make it at home relatively easily, but if you don't have the time, buying it's fine. Go ahead and add about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons to our frying pan, because we're going to shallow fry these onions and 3 cardamom seeds and about 10 to 12 cashews. And this is going to make the basis for our sauce. So go ahead and drop those seeds in there. Then add our onions. Traditionally, they would just deep fry the onions, but not everybody has access to a deep fryer, so I'm going to show you how to do it in the pan. And then we're just going to saute it in that ghee. And we're going to add our tomatoes to a blender. Like so. Along with some then we're just going to saute up those onions. We want to get them nice and brown. I actually could have gone a little bit longer with this. If you were using a deep fryer, you'll get them kind of a crispy brown. It should start to look like this. Again, I would cook it maybe a little bit longer. I kind of took them off a little bit too soon here. But then we're going to add our cashews. It's about 1/8 a cup, maybe 10 or 12 of these bad boys. We're just going to toss these together, get them a light toast, maybe about 30 seconds in this pan. I'm just going to move this off to a plate because we're going to add this to our blender. Which, by the way, you should have already blended up those tomatoes and that yogurt just to get everything started. And I'm going to stick this in my freezer for about 5 to 10 minutes just to cool it off so it doesn't hit that yogurt and cause it to curdle. Into that same pan, I'm going to go ahead and add more ghee. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick my cinnamon stick in there, along with my bay leaves. And 1 cardamon pod. And 2 cloves. Those are going to go in there right away. And this is from that spice mix we had earlier. And once those start to sizzle and get fragrant, we're going to go ahead and add our chicken that we had marinating. We're just going to get these a nice color, you know, until they're about halfway cooked all the way through. And got a nice browning on the outside. Then we're going to take our mixture. Those onions and cashews are going to get blended in the blender off screen. And that's what's going to make this paste. Now that's with the tomatoes and yogurt, in case that wasn't clear. And then we're just going to mix this all together with that ghee and those spices that we had already fried up in here. Then we're going to add some water to this to thin it out a little bit. Stir it together. You can see it's starting to form a nice sauce. Like so. Then we're going to let that simmer. Once it simmers, we're going to add the rest of those spices and that chili pepper. You can also fry up that chili pepper with the other spices when you start this. Do be warned, if you do burn it, you will pepper spray yourself, so please be careful when you cook chili peppers. Then we're just going to mix that all in, and we're just going to simmer that for a while, about 10 to 15 minutes. And we're going to add 1 black cardamon in there as we're simmering. And once we hit this bubbling consistency, we're going to go ahead and turn down the heat and put a cover on it. And look at that, after 10 to 15 minutes. This is what it should look like. Go ahead and stir it together to reincorporate everything nice and good. Yeah, look at that. I wish y'all could smell this, because it smells amazing. And once again, this is what it should look like. I ended up letting it go for an extra 2 minutes after I incorporated it after there. It was probably fine to come off, but sometimes you do what you do. Go ahead and taste it and add salt if you need it. Mine needed a little bit more salt. And then go ahead and plate this up with some naan, if you're not gluten-free like me. So my wife is getting naan, and you're going to struggle with the naan on the plate for some reason, for an exorbitant amount of time. Like so. I mean, come on, it's bread. Why can't it just stick? Come on, bud. And then we're going to go ahead and add our rice. Normally I would serve this with some basmati rice, but the name of the game today was what did I actually have in my kitchen for this. So I ended up using white rice, unfortunately. But it's fine. Came out good regardless. And look at that. That's a delicious chicken korma. Like I said, this plate's going to go to my wife, which she's going to devour in about 5 seconds, because she loves korma chicken. And then here's a plate for me without the naan on there, and I'm going to go ahead and add some cashews on top so you know that there's cashews in there. And if you had some coriander or cilantro, that's when you would add it.
Hey guys, look at that. Chicken korma. Can't wait to take a bite. It smells really good. Oh, excuse me. Rubbing my nose. Let's get a little bit of rice and a little bit of chicken. That dog in the background. Mmm. Oh yeah, it's really flavorful. It's nutty, pungent. You can really taste all those spices. Only complaint is it could be a little bit spicier. But sorry, new dog. Very good. Alright, cut the future Marshall. Why you being bad? Huh? Why you being bad while Daddy's trying to talk on the microphone, huh? Can you sit for the people? Can you tell them to like and subscribe? Yeah, you would subscribe.